Welcome to Blind Level Tech. I'm Jonathan Price.
I'm Evan Starnes.
And together, we're bringing you news, tech, and information about blind technologies.
Being blind doesn't mean you have to stop living.
We're going to show you just how possible it is to live the life you want. Evan, last week was awesome.
It was great.
Wow. Tom.
We had Tom Babinski. Yeah.
Tom Babinski.
Tom Babinski.
Yeah, Tom. Mm-hmm. He's a fantastic fella, and he came on and shared some really amazing things about accessibility and inclusion and getting all that stuff done. But Evan, what have you been up to this week? It's been fun. We kind of had a cold snap over the last couple of weeks, so it's getting nice here in Colorado.
Yeah, I had a buddy over this weekend. We kind of had a good time and hung out. He needed it. He's been dealing with a lot of college-y stuff, so it's been fun. But
college-y stuff like what?
Oh, like he only wants to go to a community college, but his parents are making him fill out all these college essays for these other colleges that he has zero interest in attending.
Nice.
So,
well, very
a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, any news that is new, I guess, noteworthy in terms of technology coming out?
Nothing new so far. We have had some little iOS updates, particularly with iOS 17, but they haven't really done, it's just been some nice little bug fixes, battery improvements, which has been a big thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to be doing a show on that next week. And so if you want your question asked, or if you have a specific question, feel free to email us at feedback@aftersight.org. Enough chit chat, man. We got to dive into this guy because I'm so excited to have Idan Meir, and hopefully I got that right, as close as I can possibly be. So Idan, welcome to BLT. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. Thank you for having me here.
Me
you got
too.
it right. It's Idan Meir. You got it right.
Oh, that's so good. It always bothers me when I don't have somebody's name down, and because I just feel like that's an insult to that person. Their name is like, but it's just me. And I don't know. It's just a personal thing. But man, I'm so glad to have you on. How have you been this week?
Busy. Woo. Very busy. We're starting the year very, very strong, and this is great. So I cannot complain, but so far, so very good. So, yeah.
Nice. Where are you calling from?
So I'm currently in Rockville, Maryland.
Nice.
I relocated here with my wife and 2 kids, and with a very big mission, as I always said, with right here just 2 years ago.
Nice.
From Israel. So, yeah.
Super cool.
So far, so good, as I said.
Where in Israel?
Very close to Tel Aviv, a city called Ra'anana. Our office is there.
Yeah,
we started that about 6 years ago there. Still with a team over there, our R&D and others. And we opened up our American office just last year here in Maryland. You're both in Colorado, right?
Yes, we are both. We're both in various different parts of Colorado, but our origin is Boulder primarily.
All right.
Now, I've had the Right Here app for a number of years now. And I've been using it and have enjoyed using it. I think I would definitely say for those who do a lot of traveling, especially a lot of pedestrian or even just some, even if you Uber or take the bus, what have you, this is a very underrated app. And I would definitely recommend that you add it to your toolbox of navigation tools.
Yep.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's
as we jump into that, Idan, tell us a little bit about the Right Here app. And for those who have no idea what we're talking about, what is it? Where did it get started? And we'll kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. So it started in Israel, as I said, 6 years ago. It started because I have horrible navigation skills. I always get lost, as I always said. Really, I'm this friend where it's obvious to turn right, but it's turning left. Although we just did it 10 minutes ago.
For sure.
So I the frustration of not knowing where I am or where to go is kind of story of my life. And when we started that again about 6-7 years ago, Gil is my co-founder, we thought, well, if we'll be able to solve this to those who have most severe orientation challenges, ultimately we'll be able to solve it to anyone.
Sure.
And we thought, okay, let's see how, what's the challenge there. To be honest, at the time, we didn't even know how people who are blind even using smartphones. So it was really new to us. We thought about that, by the way. My grandfather at the time turned blind. So this whole world was kind of started to be close to me. And, we've started to do some tests with users at the beginning. We saw, the incredible, reaction that they have to the concept in general. And then to our very first, product with it. They thought, okay, we're definitely up to something here. Then started to see if there is, what could be a business case here for us as a, very early stage startup. We didn't want to charge users. It was clear to us. It was really clear to us from the very day one. We don't want to charge anything from our users, and we don't want to, sell their information or things from that sort.
Sure.
So we thought, okay, so we somehow have to find some way to monetize this, right? Yeah. And we thought, let's see if businesses and venues would be willing to pay for this. And we got exposed to the fact that there are regulations in the field, and that businesses are required to be accessible. We weren't aware of that. We didn't came from that world. And more locations join us since then. We're currently, we've expanded our activity outside of Israel, also to Europe, and here currently main focus in the past year is here in North America. We have over 2,400 locations, which we're very proud of. And I think what differentiates right here, is our focus. It's a different approach. Our main approach is, just as I said, as I started, is orientation rather than navigation.
Yeah.
These two terms are being mixed a lot of time when talking about wayfinding. So what is the difference between them? So if I may just to share,
absolutely.
Navigation is taking us from point A to point B. So take me to Johnson's office, and then, all right, turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left. You've arrived. Just like what Waze would do, or a lot of, people are probably familiar with Google Maps, or that's the navigation experience. Orientation is a bit different. Just knowing where I am, knowing what is there, understanding the contextual information of the cues, visual cues that are out there, or other cues, and what's around me. Just like with signs, a lot of times are helping us. They're telling us what's going on, right? And give us some directions, but they're not navigating us anywhere.
Right.
That's our focus. There are advantages to that. It's not better or worse than navigation. It's just different.
Sure.
And I think one of the biggest advantages of that is that it helps us run fast. It's much easier to place signs than really build up the whole route and from point A to B, from B to C, from A to C, from B to D.
Right. Yes.
And also, by the way, there are a lot of spaces which are just small, where a navigation experience isn't needed. Like think about, again, McDonald's or a Pizza Hut or any restaurant in mind. You don't necessarily need a navigation experience there. You just need to know that it's McDonald's and not Wendy's, or or vice versa, right? Doesn't matter. And where the counter is, where the restrooms are, and you kind of. And that's it. There's no like, take me to whatever, right? So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just clarify for some listeners here. So this app is designed and intended to be used outdoors or indoors, or both?
Both. So we have a full outdoor experience. In the outdoor, we do provide a navigation experience as well, by the way.
Yes.
That's available everywhere. You can just download the app and start using it with your GPS. Again, there's no sign into the app. We don't ask for your email. We don't ask for your name. We don't ask for your Twitter. We don't ask for your Facebook. Whatever. We don't care who you are.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Completely anonymous. Completely free. Always been. Always will be. And I always say, like, wherever you go, doesn't matter if it's indoors, outdoors, on space, underwater, it's free. And then there's also an indoor mode. And for the indoor mode, it's mainly an orientation experience rather than a navigation. And that's available in, the specific right here enabled locations, which you can find in the app.
Gotcha.
That's so cool.
That's incredible.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just to complete that, it's in both Android and iPhone. and it also supports 26 different languages.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's perfect. You actually answered a question that I had kind of down the pipe. But so what can users expect once they first launch the Right Here app and they've accepted all of the location access permissions and all that?
And to be honest, there are a few there. We need to use these locations, etc. So, So what they can expect is basically they will immediately hear where they are. The app, they're basically on the main screen three parts. One is your current location. So it's probably going to give you your address. And then secondly is the second part is the around me. Wherever you'll point with your phone around you, literally around you, it will change and will tell you what is there and what distance. And the third part is different tools that we've integrated therein. For example, the level of accuracy with the GPS, or we have Lens. Lens is our basically our gate to different object recognition apps like Be My Eyes, which we love, and Envision and Seeing AI and others that are joining. Cash Reader is there as well. So you can basically launch these different services through Right Here immediately. That's go ahead.
No, this is one of those apps that I like to call a Swiss Army knife app because
for sure.
Yeah, besides getting you around, it ensures essentially that you have access to the materials that might be around you. So if you're like making a payment at a McDonald's or whatever, and you're using cash, you have the cash reader right there, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. The point is to be your companion. So
yeah, absolutely. And the simplicity of the app as well is kind of what makes it unique, because there's not a whole lot of stuff in front of you. You just get what you need access to. And it also provides, at least from my experiences on iOS, it provides some good haptic feedback as well when you point at buildings. And when you're navigating around, when it gives you a direction, it'll vibrate to let you know, which is honestly, it's an underrated feature. Right. And
it is an important one. So that's why we added it in. And you know, the key here even is the simplicity, as you said. I mean, I always share with our team and with the world, and probably most of the listeners know that. But you know, when we think about it, as we started, there are Braille signs everywhere we go. Right? We can find Braille signs. Doesn't matter if it's Maryland or Colorado or anywhere else in the country. And it doesn't matter if it's a small restaurant, as discussed before, if it's a big airport, hospital, hotel, you'll find these Braille signs, you know, usually, you know, in the elevators or next to different rooms, restrooms, etc. So this is the first fact. And the second fact is that, you know, the majority of the community cannot read Braille. Like we're talking about 90%-ish. And even if you do, finding the sign is a challenge by itself.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Since COVID, like in the past 3 years, even if you know to read Braille and you've been lucky to find a sign, you do not necessarily want to touch it anyway.
No.
Right?
No. Right. Especially the ones outside of the bathrooms.
So,
oh gosh. Yeah, those are bad.
So yeah, specifically not there, right? So, I mean, so back to your word simplicity. I mean, putting up a Braille sign there on the wall is simple. This is why we can find them everywhere. It's also because it's regulated and it's the you know, the ADA requirement, but it's not necessarily as effective as it can be.
Yeah,
and that's how we think about it. How can we make a very simple experience from both, by the way, for the user perspective as well as from the facility perspective, to have something that is effective for all, not just for the blind community. Again, by the way, it's language barriers, right? Talking about hotels again. If you can hear it in your own language, or people with cognitive disabilities, it could be dyslexia. You might see the sign, you know English, but it doesn't say as much.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and you gave us a great segue actually into another question that I had. You had mentioned the concept of a right here enabled location. So if I was a prospective business, you know, interested in, I wanted to make my place as accessible as possible. So how would one go about getting their place right here enabled?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. And I think we can simplify that even more than we currently have it. But it is, I think, probably the simplest currently available, but we're working very hard and simplify that process even more. Generally speaking, the process goes, first it starts with an interest. They first need to be interested in doing something like this. And I'm saying that because what we found from our experience, that the best way to cause a facility to be interested in that is simply asking them to do something like that. It goes so much further, than when we ask them. So when we reach out to them as right here, they go, hey, yes, so now you're telling us there is a problem, and now you're telling us you have a solution.
Yeah.
But when a customer is actually needs something like this, is asking them to have that, then they reach us, and the whole dynamic is different. So I'm going to talk about our unlock feature maybe later, because this is how we solve this.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, so we're going to circle back on that, but that's the first piece, their interest.
Yeah.
When they're interested and they create an account with us or just call us and we meet them, the first step is mapping the space, and that's fairly simple and fast, and straightforward. We just ask for the floor plans or the layout, the blueprints, the evacuation plans sometimes.
Yep.
Based on that, we recommend what would be the best places to place these beacons. And the beacons, I can talk about the beacons maybe a little bit. It's what helps us to identify the user location in an indoor environment. We don't need that outdoors, but in an indoor environment where there's no GPS, we somehow need to know where you are, right?
Yeah.
So these beacons, Bluetooth beacons, help us with that. And that's it. And once we understand what's the scope of project, that's what helps us take the further steps, sending them over. Usually, in many of our projects, I would say the installation done by the facility. They don't really need us there. We're very proud of that because, again, the simplicity is right there. It's as simple as sticking stickers on the wall, and that's it. That's how the facility become accessible.
That's incredible. I want to jump from the simplicity that you guys put out there to the just beautiful complexity of the behind the scenes stuff that's going on, because your database for not only just the United States, but for worldwide has to be gigantic. Yeah. Not only that, but you have to have the system integration to be able to track everything, to make sure everything is running smoothly and all that kind of stuff. And I know you're going to talk about the beacon, so I'll let you do that. But in addition to that, I want listeners to understand what's going on behind the scenes, because this is a tech show. We have a lot of people who love the nitty gritty details of this tech world. And so please indulge us in that aspect.
Sure. Great. So, thank you for appreciating that, because there's a lot behind the scenes. And this is really a good opportunity to give all the credit to Gil, my co-founder. He's our CTO. He's leading this really, really fantastically. And I'm very proud of the work they do there in the R&D. By the way, especially nowadays with everything going on in Israel, the team is in Israel.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes, what we have is basically we have three main components to the system. One is the app, which we kind of covered. Secondly, there's the beacons, and thirdly, there's the whole cloud or online portal dashboard. Sure. It's a pretty unique one, very robust one, which helps the facilities to control, to edit, to manage all the audio descriptions that are later on are being provided to the user in the user device. We do that with text to speech, so it's all text. That's what helps us. Where it is a lot of data, it is all eventually text, and we kind of split that by the geography area. So it's very the app is fairly light on the user device. It is requires some battery though, because of the use of Bluetooth. Right. Again, when you're in indoor mode, outdoors is using GPS, so it's using just like the consumption of the battery, just like with any other GPS app. But yeah, we've built a very. I mean, I can go to the details there, but basically our partners, the facilities who work with us, they have a whole interface by themselves where they can log in, username and password. There they'll find the fleet of the beacon that they have there in the airport, the hospital, or again, just in the restaurant. And they can really set what are the audio descriptions for each beacon there at the facility.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it will provide the user with there's a lot of things, but the core of it is the answers to where am I?
Yeah.
Is what is here, and thirdly is what's around me.
Yeah.
You are at this restaurant, the open hours are, and this is where the counter is, this is where the restrooms are, etc. Yeah, there are obviously a lot more than that, but I want to keep it, digestible.
Yeah, forget digestible. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But talk to us a little bit about those beacons, because they're very unique. And for businesses who don't know, they're tiny. They're maybe 2 inches wide or long, I guess.
About the size of a finger.
Yeah, about the length of your finger. And maybe about, I don't know, a half an inch to an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide. It's kind of like a triangular shape to it. So it's a very interesting design, and they're super small, very discreet, and they can be put basically anywhere you can attach it to a device or a surface. Are they needing to be powered?
Yes, so they are batteries powered that last for about 3 to 4 years. We take care of that, so facilities don't need to remember to replace that every 3 years. We just let them know it's time to replace the battery or the whole beacon.
Right.
They're getting it with them also showing it here, like a small box, and in this box, this is how they're getting it. Inside this box, what you can find is the beacon. The installation guide. It's a threefold a guide, which basically show them where to place it, right at the entrance or wherever that is. Going securely on a ladder, sticking that on a wall, and then go online, to set up the audio descriptions. It also comes with a nice badge that you've done the right thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the beacons, again, the beacons are working on Bluetooth. It's a Bluetooth low energy type of device. We don't need Wi-Fi at the facility whatsoever.
Wow.
We don't need electricity there. We can basically work without that.
Wow.
Users don't need to be connected to the internet. They can come on a flight mode. As long as the Bluetooth is on, they'll be able to get it. So your packages, your data, we don't need that. That's important because, again, back to the simplicity, we want to zero integrations with the facilities or the venue systems.
Right.
So from a security, privacy, and other, concerns, they're just not there. It's a standalone system, but it's easy to implement.
That's awesome. And I didn't realize the beacons were as tiny as they are. It's ironic, too, that they're triangular, because essentially what they're doing, for those who don't know it, is it uses those beacons to essentially, it's like what GPS does. It triangulates, and that's how it's able to determine your precise location, it's a very cool and fascinating technology.
It is very true what you said. Well, we're not using the triangulation with the beacons. Triangulation is really, and by the way, beacons have been around for a few years. I think they actually got not the best, I would say, reputation in the past few years.
Sure.
One of the reasons, by the way, in our, or maybe my perspective, is that because they've been mainly trying to be used for navigation,
right,
rather than orientation. So for navigation, you have to know a very precise location of the user everywhere he goes. So you need to have this triangulation you mentioned, and a very, I would say, wide coverage of the beacons in the facility. And this is basically Bluetooth is radio signals. So, radio is radio. It's not always, as you expect it to be. And for the navigation experience, I don't think it's delivered the expectation, at least into the level of expectation that users had. In our case, it is orientation.
Yeah.
So we don't do the triangulation. As long as you're in the radius to the beacon, we'll let you know you're at the entrance. Now, guess what? It doesn't matter if you're 2 steps left or 2 steps right. You're still in the entrance.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
How far out do these beacons stretch?
So you can configure that. But for 95% of our project, it's about 10 feet radius.
Okay.
So again, and when you think about a point of interest in a building, right, or most buildings, like if I would call you, Jonathan, where are you? You would probably say, well, I'm here at the entrance. Well, I'm in the elevator's lobby. Doesn't matter if you're 2 steps there or 2 steps there. You're still in the elevator's lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think Darren was talking about when we were talking with him before, he was talking about the use of these beacons in a hotel setting where you go up to like the 6th floor and you say, I want to get to my room on level 6. I'm in room 230 or 630, and you go up there and then it says your room is 300 feet to the right.
Right. So yeah, it's less of a take me to room 205 or something like that. But once you go outside of an elevator, for example, at the 5th floor of that hotel, usually there is a sign there saying that rooms 500 and up are to the right and 500 and down to the left, right?
Yeah.
So we'll just say it out loud in your own language, in your own pace through the app. We can theoretically place a beacon on every door or along the corridor there, but it isn't that needed. But, if you brought up hotels, Jonathan, here's I think a crazy fact. In every room, or almost every room of every hotel in the country, and the back of it, what you can find is the evacuation plan.
Yep.
By the way, the door also of the room have Braille. That's for you to know, right? If you know to read Braille, we covered that earlier. But on the back of it, there is the evacuation plan for the case of emergency, fire, etc. How is that solved for the blind or visually impaired community, just in case?
Right.
It isn't.
Yeah, you could put a beacon with the entire evacuation plan instead.
Here you go. And that's exactly how we talk about it, when talking with hotels and others, because I don't think, people, for some reason, people tend to think that accessibility is a nice feature. No, it's people's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it can be literally the difference between life and death.
Here you go. You just said that. Exactly. So yeah.
I love that whole process and being able to protect people and all that kind of stuff. Evan, did you have another question?
I did not have any other questions, but I do. There is a concept that you'd brought up that it has to just deal with people reaching out to you as opposed to you reaching out to them. And so, how often, and if you don't mind me asking, do you get people or prospective businesses reaching out to you?
For sure.
Setups?
So this unlock, we call it the unlock. We kind of it's gonna help us to unlock how to go to market, and I think it's kind of literally unlocking spaces. So I love this name. I think our insight is that, as I said before, when the community, when users are asking for this, it just goes so farther away than we just talk to businesses, because we are a company. When we talk to them, it's like, okay, here's someone trying to sell us something we don't necessarily need, or we don't know what if people are if that helps anyone. But when again businesses hear that there was a guest or a shopper or a customer who is asking for this, then they take it seriously and they reach us. So what we've done with this is a wider campaign we call the Unlock. First, you can find it in the app. And it's in a beta, so not in all regions, but you can find in the app this unlock feature. And what it does, it basically helps the users to just ask for this accessibility from different businesses. Yeah, it's basically send an email to them and, hey, hi, I'd like to visit. It's hard for me. Have you considered doing something like with an audio format signage there? Yeah. I don't even think we mentioned right here specifically, but just to raise awareness to that. And we have another volunteering project where we do that more manually with volunteers from the community, which I'd love to invite all those listeners here who's interested in that. Please reach out to us and join our movement with this of increasing awareness. Again, as I said, this is not asking for a feature; it's asking for your right. Basically, sure. It is under ADA. Effective communication is there. It's been, it's a law here around. It's not just a nice gestures that they're doing, but they're not aware of it. So if you want to volunteer with that, I'll just say on our website there is a page called Community. You can find it in the footer, basically at the bottom of the homepage. Community. Just go there, put there your details, and we'll guide you from there how you can help us reaching out to different businesses. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes a day sometimes.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I really quickly want to touch on the outdoor navigation piece of it. Can you guys essentially cover like a national park or a city park or things like that? Can you briefly talk about that particular aspect of it?
Yes, absolutely. And we're now about to announce a park that we've done in Virginia. So
nice.
So that's exciting.
That's awesome.
Yes, I don't know if you know about it, but that's very exciting to us. So in the outdoors, we can also use we're using GPS, of course, but we can also use these beacons outdoors.
Right.
And that's great because it helps us customize the messages, even though there's GPS, but they're not ours, right? And we cannot control what Google Maps or others are doing there. Or OpenStreetMap, et cetera. So usually in an outdoor environment, we're still using the beacons. We kind of treat it as if it was an indoor environment, although it's not. There's a different package to the beacon for outdoor weather resistance, et cetera. But yeah, in an outdoor layout, it's basically a very similar experience to an indoor one. Mm-hmm. Is that answering, Jonathan? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic because we have so every year we do a hike, and it would be so cool to be able to put these on a trail where you say at points of interest, at different like historical sites, things like that, and to be able to give a visual description of what they could be looking at, whether it be a canyon or a peak or a waterfall, or it could give you different directions for a trailhead if you want to take something more difficult or more easy. And, one of my favorite things that it could possibly do in relation to GPS is navigating to our favorite sandwich shops. So, I think this is a perfect time to get into the sandwich of the week. All right. So, Idan, you're from Israel, and there's some amazing food in Israel. I don't think people know just how good some of that food is. Like, it is, oh my gosh. Oh my God. Okay. I can't even right now. So tell me your either favorite sandwich or anything you put on bread or in bread or whatever. Go for it.
Well, it's probably obvious, right? It's hummus, right?
Oh, yeah,
hummus,
yeah.
It's like
yum.
I'm a big hummus fan. I know all the best ones in Israel. If you ever visit there, and this is one of the things I really miss here. I don't know. I don't find a lot of places where it's only hummus. Like there's no. I love this concept and I love this dish. So that's what I would put on my bread if I have that. That was,
Now, so here in the States, we like to flavor it up with all sorts of different things, different spices and different, what's your favorite hummus?
Well, I would put on this hummus a little bit of olive oil, and then za'atar. I don't know if that's...
I'm not...
No, za'atar? No? Za'atar?
Za'atar?
Try
heard of it.
Za'atar. Probably, I can check if there's a name for this in English, but that's what we call that. That's what I have on my za'atar here. So it's called za'atar. I think it's Arabic word, but it goes really well. Paprika as well.
Oh yeah.
On this.
Love it.
And the chickpeas as well. I mean,
of course,
a bit of onion, and the pita bread is important. Not just what's on it, but the pita itself should be fresh and
Absolutely.
I love it. Now I'm hungry. Now I'm hungry.
Evan.
Me too.
Evan, what do you got?
Well, man, as I'm about to have lunch here in about an hour, I wish what I had was a tuna sandwich. Actually, because I like those. I like a tuna sandwich. I put pickles, onions. I think it's still got some nutritional value behind it, but it's nice and simple, and it's it's something that you can easily just make in the morning if you take it to work. You don't have to heat it up, but it's yummy.
That sounds really good. I'm going to go Mediterranean. I love Mediterranean cuisine and that kind of stuff. And it kind of ties loosely into Israeli cuisine when you have, like I said, the pita bread, and you have the tomatoes and the basils and the olive oils and the all that kind of stuff. And you have the tzatziki sauce and Like, oh my goodness. Oh, just
fresh.
Just hit me in the face right now. It's so good. So freaking good.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now that I am thoroughly starving, Idan, what would you like our audience to take away from this?
Wow. Thank you for the opportunity here. I think what I'd like the audience to take away, it's 2024 now. And when we look at, we have crazy things out there. We have it's a tech show. You talk about many crazy tech things that we have available out there. Yeah. But when thinking about we're still humans. We're not bots. We are going places, whether it's a restaurant or a museum or whatever that is. And when you think about them, they kind of ignoring us. They're just ignoring existence. Sure. Like there's nothing. And the best you can find is these braille signs. So for me, what my hope is that, those listeners listening to us, main takeaway was just ask for this. Ask for this. If we won't ask for this as a community, as individuals, we'll never going to get there. And it's not just a feature we're asking or a gesture we're asking or a favor we're asking. We're asking for our right. And we can help you do this asking very politely, very friendly. We're not like, we're trying to make the world more accessible as a movement, as a community together.
Right.
If that's interest to you, please go to our website, find the community page in the footer, or just contact us. I'm Idan at right-here.com. Probably going to have it on the footnotes.
Yeah. Yep. We'll have it in the description.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And can you give everybody the website?
Sure. It's www.right-here-hear.com. And my personal email is just like that, but with IDAN at the beginning at right-here.com.
Very cool. And I'm glad you spelled that out, because if you look up righthere.com, it takes you to a very different site.
I know.
Just be careful. So HEAR. And that's awesome. Evan, anything from you?
No, not at all. But I would strongly encourage people to go grab the app. It's free for iOS and Android. Even if you don't, even if you're like, oh, I don't travel at all, play with it. It actually might help get you out there and traveling again. I would strongly encourage people to check this out. We have a thing that we've had for a little over a month now of podcast shout outs. So if you have a message for a special someone, or, like a graduation or a proposal, or, even just you want to say hello and leave like a kind word, you can go to aftersight.org/shoutout and leave a message and what show you'd like your message on, and we will read it out for you.
Yeah, that's a great way to tell somebody congratulations for a job well done or a holiday or anything like that. So make sure you get those in. Also, if you have any questions, just a reminder, feedback@aftersight.org, or call us 720-712-8856. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns you want to ask myself, Evan, or any of our hosts for any of our Aftersight originals, you can do that there. Idan, thank you so much for coming on the show. You are a friend of the show now, so you can come back anytime. We would love to have you back, and Darren to give us updates, because I'm sure you guys are going to roll new tech out, new updates out, and have new features. So, yeah, we're going to get you back.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. That's a great privilege. And you're doing an incredible work. I've been listening to previous episodes, and you're amazing. Keep doing this wonderful work you do.
Thank you.
And yes, we are about to launch a few really exciting stuff this year. So happy to come back.
Well, very cool.
Well, stay tuned.
Absolutely. Well, that does it for this week's episode of Blind Level Tech, or BLT. Please come back and listen to us. Give us a 5-star rating and comment. Share it with all of your friends and family, because you never know who's going to need this information. So on behalf of the Aftersight team, Evan Starnes, my name is Jonathan Price.
Don't forget to plug in your devices. We'll see you next week.